Well, hi everybody. Gail Kraft here from the Empowering Process podcast. And I thought I would have a conversation with you today, very short discussion around questioning everything. Do you remember when you were a child? Maybe you don't, but there was a time in your life when you asked why? Maybe you have a child or know a child at the age of 4 or 5 who asked you why, and to the point where maybe you got frustrated because you never really remembered asking yourself why so many times. And honestly, I'm asking you to put your ego aside and think about what curiosity really means and think about questioning everything that you thought was true in your life. And you may end up saying, well, it is true for me, or maybe there's another way. Maybe there's another perspective. Maybe I've been held back by believing something is true. Let me take an example of why this is so important. We all have free will. What that means is something will happen, and it's our choice on how we face it, how we deal with it, how we move forward. And sometimes we make good choices and sometimes not so good choices. There's a thing called discernment. And when I looked up what the definition of discernment is, I got it's perception in the absence of judgment with a view of obtaining spiritual guidance and understanding. An absence of judgment. That means take your beliefs, take ego, and say, I love you. Thank you for protecting me. Can you sit over here for a minute? I'm going to pretend that I'm safe. And with a view, a purpose, and intention of obtaining spiritual guidance and understanding. To me, that means understanding who I am and does this feel right with me in order to move forward in the purest expression of who I am. It's also the act of grasping and comprehending something that is obscure. So when we think about discernment and judgment, we think about going beyond what we believe to be true because we're trying to grasp something new. We're trying to get a different understanding, a new perspective. I recently wrote a post about something that I questioned as a child. I remember hearing the phrase, the other side of the tracks. And this really made me anxious because I grew up in the poor side of town. And so I thought, well, am I on the other side of the tracks? Where are the tracks anyway? What is on the other side of the tracks? If I go over the tracks, what will happen to me? Which tracks are we talking about? I mean, all of these questions, and I didn't have answers. I didn't have answers. And so when I got older, I stopped asking the questions because I understood what the other side of the track meant. And I understood that it was up to me as to which side of the track I was on. And now I understand that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's how I live my life every day. So I'm just getting on board today to put out there, wouldn't it be cool if you took one belief that you have, and it might be a supporting belief, it's one thing that you think is true or think is so, and ask yourself, well, what if, how is my life showing up? How am I showing up because I believe this is true? And write it out if you want, or record it, or just think about all of the things that you do, all of the choices you make, all of the actions you take because you believe this to be true. Now, what if you ask yourself, what if I don't believe this is true? What would happen? And write that out. And you might actually get a little bit like your breath taken away, but write it out. If this were not true, what would happen? And then if this were not true, what would be true? What are the possibilities? And you should have a bunch of possibilities of what could be true. if this were not? And then ask yourself, what if I took different action based on me believing something else is true? And take one of the things that you wrote about truth, right? Or about what could be true, and see what different actions you take. And maybe work on all of them. But what will happen is that you start to open up your mind to the infinite possibilities and choices that you may not have been aware of in your life that will present themselves because you're looking at things from a different perspective. And there is a huge possibility, maybe even a probability, that your life will change for the better, because you will be learning how to ask questions, how to apply discernment to your life, and how to look at things from a bunch of different perspectives and make choices with way more information. Isn't information what's important for making choices? Why are you limiting your information? Why are you limiting your choices by believing something is true without asking? And I'm not saying that what you believe to be true is a lie. I'm saying what you believe to be true is guiding your choices. And there may be some other options that you're missing. So why not expand your opportunities, expand your horizon, and look at the possibilities of what you could be doing differently that will so improve your life, in your business, in your career, in your relationship with yourself and with others. This is Gail Kraft from the Empowering Process podcast. Just a short little ditty for me to slip in there. I hope that you actually sit down and try this exercise. I would love to hear your response in the comments as to what you experienced after you did some of these exercises. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you and take care.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailkraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.